Hello, I'm Ray. I'm here with Jonathan to discuss one of the individuals murking from the Northeast for the Pacific
hmm
Northwest here on Nerve Check. I have been let loose without my colleagues Ben or John, so you won't see the mustache and you won't see the looks coming from Ben with his fishy smell. But John's going to be
hmm
talking about his Nightstalkers, his expectations going down, his thoughts on the first matchup, and how he plans to overthrow the table where everyone has seemingly bet against him. So, with no further ado, John, looking forward to. Do you want John or Jonathan? I guess would be the first
Oh,
question.
either one's fine, honestly.
Well, this is
Pretty
your
used to
chance
it.
to tell tens
Oh,
of
that's true.
people which one you prefer.
Well, the 10 people that might or might not be on the scene. Yeah, Jonathan's definitely the preferable one, just because it's full
Fair
name. I'm
enough.
just used to be doing by. Yeah, I used to have like 5 or 6 people also named John going through going through elementary school. So used to doing by John to distinguish myself a little bit and kind of kept that going.
Okay, so we'll go with Jonathan, and that also differentiates you from the John in the Northeast with his twirling mustache. So that's all good.
Exactly. Yeah. So
So,
let's see.
what made you
Oh, go ahead.
decide to bring Nightstalkers? You and about
I've
10% of the list.
uh mostly just because I've been playing Night Stalker since I started doing Kings of War, so I'm kind of gotten very comfortable and familiar with the list, and I've taken it to most of the tournaments I've ever really gone to, and so I generally like the list. I like how I kind of built it, so I have minimal worries about shooting overall, which is something that's always kind of I felt very nice. The list of only have to really worry about positioning a melee rather than like an all shooting list setup aside from like the goblins. So I'm just like it's just a very comfortable list for me. I feel like it does things quite well with enough practice, and yeah, I especially do like some of the new. I really like the Shadowhound regiments this year, or like the what the Shadowhound regiments have done. So I wanted to play around with those, and I did quite well at a couple of local tournaments. Kind of got me up in the air enough to actually start working for Masters. So I figured I want to keep. I didn't want to necessarily try out a new army at Masters where the mistakes will
Well,
cost you quite a bit more than other tournaments.
didn't you take this army or something very similar to it to Orc Town?
I did, yes, and then
And
I did end up winning Orc Town with it. Although I do have to like I'm very happy I didn't run the
wait.
Marcelo
So
in Orc
when
Town.
time out. When you're saying local tournaments, that includes Orc
Yes,
Town, which had 40 people there, including some reasonable names and representation from across the Northeast, and you just happened to win it with Night Stalkers. So this is your. Well, I guess I just won Orc Town, so I can go down and murk myself out.
um, effectively. I mean, to be fair, I did change up the list quite a bit. I did. I mean, I did change up the list somewhat to just try and make it more sort of useful overall for what I expect at a Masters tournament versus what a local tournament is. But no, this is pretty much the same list. And honestly, it's like the only one of the only 2 lists I actually have painted up to a decent enough standard to actually run in a tournament scene. So that's partially been why I've been running with Night Stalkers for so long.
So you like the fact that you can concentrate on the combat, you can concentrate on the fights with the Night Stalkers, and you can kind of ignore the shooting to the extent possible.
Correct, yes. If everything's stealthy plus a healing planar apparition, unless they've got pretty much all shooting, I'm going to be able to tank and weather whatever they have pretty easily. And if they have all shooting, then I just kind of run into them.
Okay.
While not like losing half my army like they expect.
So will this be your first Masters that you're going to?
This will be the first Masters I'm going to. I was originally supposed to I was supposed to be like playing for the Northeast last year at the Omaha tournament.
Yeah.
But I made the mistake of getting the last flight out Friday night after work to Omaha, and they shut down. They canceled all the flights going through New York City that day, so I actually couldn't make it down before the first round started. And so I
Okay.
contacted the organizers, and you have to be you have to be on Masters when dice are down, or else you're kind of not be able to participate in Masters. You'll be doing Best of the Rest instead, which
Okay.
was a frustrating experience. But thankfully, which was a very frustrating experience. But thankfully, it doesn't seem like it'll be an issue this time because I'll be driving down instead. So driving down the night beforehand, so there's no chance it'll happen again.
So you're heading down Friday as well?
Yep, I'll be driving down Friday as well. I was originally planning on going to a local, another semi-local event today, actually, but sadly didn't have the finances. Didn't have the finances to do both that and the Masters, so
Wow.
I'm passing on that event this year.
Okay. So, what are your expectations going in to the tournament?
My expectations, or at least my hope, is to go 3-3-4-2,
Okay.
simply because there's so many styles of lists I haven't seen play yet, and I haven't seen them play well. So I'm not so yeah. Just
Um,
because I mean, underhead.
so my thoughts, given the meta in the Northeast, would be we don't really see a lot of surge armies in the Northeast.
Correct.
So that might be something new. Are there any other? We see a lot of dwarfs. We see a lot of Nightstalkers. We see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ogres. But what other styles of lists are you not used to?
A lot of shooting.
Okay.
A lot more like heavy alpha strike lists, such as Order of the Green Lady, and
Yeah.
I would say, and like as you said earlier, like the surging and the non-dwarf grinding lists.
Okay. That's right. Because I took Green Lady to Orc Town, but I missed you. I was playing Ed on table 2. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay, and you have your first matchup against Joey with Salamanders, which is also something we don't often see in the Northeast.
Oh no, we don't really see salamanders at all. Like maybe one person will drive up once in a while, but that's about it. Um,
So, without going too far down the rabbit hole of what you're planning to do, like looking at Joey's list, what are your thoughts?
my thoughts are Joey will definitely win the grind. If we get stuck into the grind, which is something I'm obviously gonna have to try and avoid at this point, just because of the fire elemental setup with the Rhinosaur Cav, backed up by 3 Phoenixes, and a dragon to start flying around and trying to grab stuff. Honestly, like, oh, go ahead.
I think that bark skin on one of those mage priests is going to be even more annoying because what is he
Oh, it's
going
gonna
to
go on
do?
the Phoenixes. Yeah, it's going straight on the Phoenixes and like stopping them up. Or if like it looks like I might try and take them down, that'll be an issue. But like honestly, like I'm a little surprised because there isn't really any chaff. Like the only sort of chaff he has in his list whatsoever are the 3 Phoenixes, and I don't think necessarily he's gonna throw them out. Just trying to get jumped as soon as their lines start getting close together. So honestly, so as long as at least if I can pop one or two of the hordes on the initial punch in, I don't think there'll be that much of an issue.
And you do have the unit strength advantage going in, so
I do have quite a bit of unit strength advantage. I mean, to be fair, a lot of that will probably be traded away into some of the different aspects of what's going on within his list. But his list is slightly tankier than most of mine. But he doesn't really have much to actually, yeah, because he doesn't have any chaff. So I think that's a real problem on his side, honestly.
unless he uses the Corsair regiments as the chaff, that and the Phoenixes, I think, would be his. But if he's giving up the Corsair regiments and the Phoenixes, that's a lot of
That's
his units.
he's that's five of his that's a lot of his unit strength. That's five of his units. He's already only has 13 drops to begin with. He's only got 3 here, so honestly, he only has 10 combat heroes. Only has 10 combat threats. And if he gives up the regiments and the phoenixes, that's half of his threats gone with. He just has the fire elementals and the Rhinosaur Cat horde, pretty much to try and deal with. And if that's the extent of his army, after the first clash, after our lines clash together, I don't think he'll be able to do very much. simply because he'll have too many flames open.
So
I think
I think what I'm hearing is you're going to try your best to make sure you can one shot by double charging whatever you can going in.
Absolutely. That's the butcher's. That is the Nightstalker's MO 100%. Because until very recently, none of them hit on threes. None of the actual units hit on threes itself. So you always had a double charge to make sure at least one of the fours would spike and or do well enough to actually land the killing blow. But now with threes, it just makes it much more reliable for me to try and get those double charges in. I do have to say, it is pretty interesting seeing, like, I was kind of surprised, honestly, that the table went so strongly in Joey's favor. But apparently he's been around for a long time, has been joining Masters a lot, and also played Nightstalkers at some point. So generally he has some idea for what my lists and my units generally do. So I can understand that aspect. But just going from the list to list perspective, I don't see.
And I won't lie, I was probably one of the people who did vote for Joey, and it was for all those reasons, because I played with him when I was in the Mid-Atlantic. I went to tournaments with him. I know he played Nightstalkers. I know he did reasonably well with Nightstalkers. He's gone back to his true love of salamanders. So he's been repainting his salamander army, like touching it up, making it gorgeous for the event. And lizards are his love. So this is where I voted for him, knowing that he knows both lists, has played both lists. And also, it's the first day. Joey has a history of being much better on the first day than the second day.
So does Joey drink too much then? Saturday night?
I'm sure if you came down with a couple beers, he might join you with one on Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know.
But that doesn't affect his Saturday games. That affects the Sunday games. So, no, but it should be a good match. It'll be close because you're clearly prepped for it. He'll know what he's doing, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Unless he's out Friday night doing karaoke. If he's out Friday night doing karaoke, all bets on Saturday are off.
Okay.
So any final words or thoughts that you want to say? Because I don't think you're well known outside of the Northeast. And
I was known a bit in the mountain region because that's what I used to play beforehand.
Okay.
So I'll probably see some local guys. Like I've definitely fought against Travis, Tim, and like Adam Ballard a couple times. So I'll know them, and they'll probably. I still need to get them.
Are you on the Travis Tim to win train that everyone else seems to be, or?
I mean, given how long he's been bouncing around, he definitely deserves to get up there. But I don't know.
But there's some good lists that you're looking at.
There's some very good lists I've looked at, and also like honestly, I'd hope at this point that someone manages to consistently beat that goblins list because it's been kicking around for far too long. I still don't. Yeah, but the definition. I'm always on the train of someone we don't necessarily expect is going to win the tournament, because there's a little too much focus on all of those names for someone not to have thought about and planned out, and at least will have the luck to try and get the dice rolls that they need.
And like you said, it's the armies that people gear up for. So people are probably looking at Corey's list with his Twilight Kin. They're looking at Travis's goblins. They're looking at the Nightstalkers. Like I hate to say it, but even I'm looking at, well, the 6 Nightstalkers. I should probably make sure I remember what everything does. Whether it's your list or Zettelmeyer's list or whoever else is playing Nightstalkers, and ogres. So when you're saying, everyone's looking at those common lists because lots of people are bringing them, that may be one of the reasons why Masters normally won by a list that is not represented, whether it's the orcs or the herd or take your pick. So it might be halflings here. Just putting that out there. Because no one will see the halflings coming. Like,
Oh no one sees the halflings coming ever. Like everyone forgets that they just suddenly have wild charge 3 and then brutal 3. So
well, that and they're half your height, so you don't really look down to find them.
I mean, they're supposed to be short, but then all of them are flying. So like you're looking down at the regular inventory, but you don't see the balloons floating up ahead.
That's true.
My
So you're
problem.
either missing them down below, seeing them on the dogs that they're driving, or missing them up top. But triple threat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think he won Vanguard with that list, so he did well.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Which is another 32 person. So you won Orc Town with 40. He won Vanguard with 32. So like that's where somebody commented saying going to Masters and trying to pick who's going to win is like tossing the dice, because most people have won a tournament, or at least half the people attending have won a tournament going into the event.
Oh, absolutely. And then that's honestly partially why I think like a lot of Masters is a bit of a popularity contest for like, okay, who's seen and who actually remembers those names versus like actually going through and like trying to detail all the different lists and figuring out what list they like the best. But,
That's yeah, okay, and I completely agree with you, because when we look at the Canadians coming down, I was the only one pulled to win in my game against Corey Waltzer. Both of us are probably known, but the other three Canadians who don't make it to a lot of events outside of the Northeast, um,
no one knows them.
no one knows them. Like as much as there's Ben, people don't realize that Ben's sparring partner plays Northern Alliance. So him going against Northern Alliance first round, he knows that list. John going against dwarfs, they don't realize that John's brother plays dwarfs. So they're like, how will John beat dwarfs with his Kingdom of Men? And I'm like, because that's what his brother uses. And Nathan going against, with his Nightstalkers, going against Northern Alliance as well. Like that's a common army. But because the people don't realize that's what we play against, we kind of get discounted or lost in the shuffle, I think would be fair.
Yeah.
But like you said, every meta is a bit different. So going down, seeing the list, seeing the metas, I don't think we have a big goblin player in the Northeast. So
no, they are a terror.
Absolutely, which is why I think I voted for Keith in the first matchup, because as much as he's playing Travis, I know that Keith played against Jeff O'Neill and his goblins for years upon years. So he has experience in that goblin versus elf matchup. So like you said, it's a popularity contest. At least mine was at least partially driven by, I know the history of the players. But I hope you have a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone you're looking forward to sharing a drink with, or do you drink, I guess would be the first question.
Socially, but I don't like drink a whole lot, so I'm
That's
pretty
fair.
sure I'll probably be one of the sober people by the end of the night. But I'm definitely looking to drink more with Stephen DeRose.
Okay.
Is a longtime Teams of War friend and kind of a good friend overall that I haven't seen. He's back over in Iowa, so
Okay.
it'll be really nice to catch up with him. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I will put this out there tomorrow. Any final comments before we close off?
Nothing really on my end. But
okay. Well,
thank you very much for doing the interview.
See you in 2 days and catch up then.
Absolutely.
And post tournament, I'd like to do a catch up with you and with anyone who's willing to talk about how the games went, if it went as planned, or all those issues.
Oh, of course. Actually, I really